page 473. 5. Write a story using the following points and add a title and a moral to it. Points. 2 friends traveling through a dense forest lost their way. Sunset. Friends were worried. Suddenly saw a bear coming their way. One friend quickly climbed a tall tree. Other one could not climb up. Suddenly hit upon an idea. Lay on the ground. Pretended to be dead. Bear came and sniffed the man lying down. Took him to be dead and went other way. Second man was saved. Learnt a lesson. True friends never desert one another. 2 friends and a bear, B-E-A-R. Ravi and Shyam were bosom friends. Once they planned to visit another friend in a nearby village. They started their journey. On their way, there was a dense jungle that they had to cross. They entered the jungle but eventually lost their way. By the time they realized that they were lost, it was already getting dark. The sun was setting in the west. Both friends were worried as well as afraid. They could not make out what to do then. Suddenly they saw a bear approaching them. They were frightened as they thought they were going to be killed. Ravi was an excellent climber. He quickly climbed up a tall tree nearby and hid himself in the foliage, leaving behind Shyam. Para. Shyam, on the other hand, could not climb trees. He thought that he was surely going to be attacked by the bear. Suddenly he remembered something. He fell flat on the ground and feigned the appearance of a dead person. He had heard before that bears did not attack dead people. As he lay still on the ground, he felt the bear approaching him. He held his breath in fear. The bear came up to him and sniffed him all over. The bear was fooled, F-O-O-L-E-D, and soon it left that place, thinking Shyam to be a corpse, C-O-R-P-A-C, para. After the bear had gone quite far, Ravi appeared from behind the foliage and called his friend. He asked Shyam, quote, "What did the bear whisper in your ears, my friend, ? Unquote. Shyam smiled and replied, quote, "He advised me not to have such friends who desert me when they see danger approaching, unquote. Moral. Misfortune tests the sincerity of friends. Word notes. Inseparable, পৃথক করা যায় না এমন হরিহর আত্মা. Dense, ঘন, নিবিড়. Approaching, যা এগিয়ে আসছে. Excellent, চমৎকার. Foliage, পল্লবগুচ্ছ. Attempts, প্রচেষ্টা. Came up with an idea, একটা বুদ্ধি এলো. Feigned, ভান করলো. Corpse, মৃতদেহ. Whisper, ফিসফিস করে বলা. Desert, ত্যাগ করে চলে যাওয়া. Eight. Write a story using the following hints and add a suitable title and a moral. Points. A fox and a cat were friends. Fox, boasting to Cat of his cleverness, said that he knew many tricks to escape his enemies. Cat humbly replied that he knew one and managed by that. Suddenly saw a pack of hounds. The cat immediately climbed upon a tree. The fox continued to think which one of his tricks he should apply. By the time he finally decided he was surrounded by the hounds, got killed. The cat and the fox. A cat and a fox were friends. Once they sat chatting in the forest. The fox was boasting of his cleverness to the cat. He was proudly telling the cat that he was acquainted, acquainted, with many kinds of tricks that would help him to escape from his enemies. He said, quote, I have a whole bag of tricks which contain every possible way of escaping my enemies. Stop, unquote. Page 474. The cat, on the other hand, was humble in his reply. Quote, I am acquainted with only one technique, unquote, he said, quote, and I generally manage with that, stop, unquote. The fox, on hearing the cat's reply, broke out into a fit of laughter. Choked with laughter, the fox said, quote, Oh, my friend, exclamation, what will you do when you are surrounded by enemies, unquote. Para. Just at that very moment they heard the distant baying, B-A-Y-I-N-G, of a pack of hounds, Hounds. It was becoming louder and louder. The fox and the cat realized that a pack was approaching them. As soon as the cat realized the imminent danger, he scampered, S-C-A-M-P-E-R-E-D, up a tree and hid behind the dense foliage. Quote, Thank God, dogs can't climb trees, unquote, said the cat. Quote, What are you going to do now, unquote. The fox thought first of one way of escaping and then thought of another. He went on thinking which would be the best way to escape from the hounds. Meanwhile, the hounds came nearer. Ultimately, the confused fox was surrounded by the hounds and soon was killed by the hunters. The cat, who had witnessed the whole thing from the tree, said, quote, My poor friend thought too much and forgot to act, stop, unquote. Moral. Action is better than contemplation. Word notes, chatting, খোশ গল্প করছিল, boasting, গর্ব করা, বড়াই করা. Promptly, ঝটিতি, acquainted, পরিচিত হওয়া. Tricks, ফন্দি, humble, বিনীত. Manage, কাজ চালিয়ে দেওয়া. Broke into a fit of laughter, হাসির দমকে ফেটে পড়ল. Choking, বিষম খেয়ে যাওয়া. Hounds, শিকারী কুকুর. Approaching, এগিয়ে আসা. Witnessed, প্রত্যক্ষ করল. Reckon, R-E-C-K-O-N, স্থির করা. 7. Use the following hints to develop a story. Add a title and a moral too. Points. A fox and a crane. They were neighbors. Fox invited crane to dinner, provided him only with soup, mischievously served the soup in a flat dish. The crane could not eat, devised a plan, invited the fox on dinner, served meat in a flagon, F-L-A-G-O-N, with a long narrow neck. This time the fox was fooled, a lesson to the fox. The Fox and the Crane. In the old days, the beasts of the jungle lived together in harmony. It was during those times that a fox and a crane were neighbors. Neighbors. The fox lived next to the large pond where the crane lived. One day the fox was in the mood for mischief. He decided to play a prank on his neighbor. He invited the crane to dinner. Quote, "Hello, my friend," exclamation unquote, comma, he said, quote, "I was wondering whether you would like to give me some company at dinner tomorrow," stop unquote. The unsuspecting crane was delighted. He replied, quote, "It'll be my pleasure. I will surely come, my friend," stop unquote, para. In the evening, when the crane went to the fox, the latter had given a warm welcome. Quote, "Welcome, comma, my friend," exclamation. "It is so good to have you in my humble dwelling," unquote, comma, said the fox, comma, quote, "Wait here, comma, please, and the dinner shall be ready in a few moments," stop unquote. Saying so, the fox went inside and reappeared after some time with some soup made of pulses. He served it in two broad and flat stone dishes. As the crane went on to have the soup, he faced a lot of difficulty. Naturally, the soup fell out of his long beak. He was thoroughly frustrated, and his vexation amused the fox to a great extent. At last the crane gave up. The fox, on seeing that the crane had stopped eating, said, comma, quote, "My friend, comma, you should never waste a morsel," stop unquote. Saying so, he lapped up the portion that was provided to the crane, para. The crane then understood that the fox was playing a prank on him. He thought of doing the same to the fox. He, while returning, invited the fox to dinner. Next day, when the fox went to the crane, he too was received with equal warmth. warmth. After that, the crane served pieces of meat in a flagon with a long, narrow neck. Now it was the turn of the fox to be fooled. He could not take out a single bit of meat and kept staring at his flagon, while the crane relished every bit of the meal after taking it out of the flagon with his long beak. Thus the fox met with a fitting reply. Moral: as you sow, SOW, comma, so you reap, REAP, stop. Word note. Word notes: bass, pushu, harmony, ঐক্য, mood of mischief, দুষ্টুমি করার মেজাজ, prank, মজা করার জন্য পেছনে লাগা, রং তামাশা করা, inviting, নিমন্ত্রণ করা, company, সঙ্গ, unsuspecting, অসন্দিগ্ধ, humble, সাধারণ, dwelling, বাসস্থান, frustrated, আশাহত হলো, vexation, হয়রানি, হয়রানি, মরসেল, খাবারের অংশ, ল্যাপটপ, জিভ দিয়ে চেটে খেয়ে নিল, ওয়ার্মথ, আন্তরিকতা, ফ্লেগন, হাতলযুক্ত গোলাকৃতি বোতল, রেলিশড, তৃপ্তি সহকারে খেলো, ফিটিং, যথাযোগ্য. 8. Using the following outline, develop a story and add a title and a moral to it. Points: a hare and a tortoise. Walking along. Hare ridicules tortoise for its slow pace. Tortoise challenges hare to a race. Says that he can beat the hare in a race. Hare agrees, calls a fox to be the judge. Race begins. Hare leads and thinks of resting for a while. Falls asleep. Tortoise walks on steadily. Ultimately wins the race. WBTA Set 6. The Hare and the Tortoise. Once there lived a hare and a tortoise. One day they went for a walk in the woods. There the tortoise struggled hard to keep pace with the hare. The hare noticed that the tortoise was lagging behind. He mocked and ridiculed the tortoise for its slow pace. But the tortoise did not mind. With a smile on his face, he said, quote, "You might be swift as a wind, but I can beat you in a race," unquote. The hare took this as a ridiculous statement and agreed to run a race. They went to the fox to be the judge. On the day appointed, there was a huge crowd of animals. They came to see the race. The animals didn't like the hare's boastfulness. They wondered if the tortoise could teach the hare a lesson. Page 475. The fox signaled to start the race, and both the hare and the tortoise started together. The hare was swift, and within a moment he was nowhere to be seen. After running for some time, he turned back to see whether the tortoise was behind him or not. But the tortoise was nowhere to be seen. It was then that the hare decided to sit down and rest for a while. He lay down under the shade of a huge tree. In no time he was fast asleep. The tortoise, on the other hand, never stopped for a moment, but plodded, on. On his way he saw the hare fast asleep by the wayside. Swilling, Swilling. He passed by the hare. On reaching the finish line, the fox, who was the judge, declared the tortoise as the winner. All the animals cheered. The noise woke up the hare. He ran as fast as he could, but on nearing the finishing line, he saw that the tortoise was comfortably resting after winning the race. Moral: slow and steady wins the race. Word note: struggled, আপ্রাণ চেষ্টা করছিল, lagging behind, পিছিয়ে পড়ছিল, mocked, ridiculed, উপহাস করেছিল, pace, চলার, দৌড়ানোর ধরন, plodded, থপথপ করে হেঁটেছিল, beat, হারিয়ে দেওয়া, ridiculous, হাস্যকর, impossible, অসম্ভব, statement, উক্তি. 9. Write a story using the following hints and add a title and a moral. Points: a sleeping lion. Awakened by a mouse. The lion was angry, caught the mouse and was about to kill it. The mouse begged for his life. The lion let him go. After some days, the lion was captured, was held by strong ropes. The mouse saw it and came to the rescue. Gnawed, GNAWED, the ropes and set the lion free. The Lion and the Mouse. Once a lion was peacefully sleeping in front of his den. DEN. Suddenly in his sleep, he felt something scampering all over his face. He woke up, startled, and found a small mouse running all over his face. He rose up angrily and caught the mouse in a flash. Quote, "How dare you disturb me in my slumber?" Unquote, he roared, quote, "But since you have, now I shall punish you," quote unquote. Stop, unquote. Saying so, he was about to kill the mouse. Quivering in fear, the mouse piteously entreated, quote, "O king of the jungle!" exclamation. If you would only spare my life, comma, I would be sure to repay your kindness, stop unquote. The lion was so amused at this statement that he spared the life of the mouse, para. After a few days, it so happened that this lion was captured by some hunters. The hunters had set a trap and the lion got caught in it. He was bound by strong ropes. The lion roared with all his might and struggled hard to free himself, but in vain. The mouse heard the angry roars and out of sheer curiosity rushed to the direction from where it was coming. As he came near, he saw the lion all caught up in the nets. He immediately recognized his savior and rushed to his rescue. The mouse gnawed the rope with his teeth, setting the lion free. The lion, the mouse, and said, quote, I disbelieved you when you said that you would repay my kindness, semicolon. But today I understand that it is possible even for a small mouse to help a lion in times of danger. Moral: the weakest can help the mightiest. Word notes: peacefully, শান্তিপূর্ণভাবে, scampering, ছোট প্রাণীর সম্বন্ধে বলা, ভয়ে ছুটে পালানো. Startle, চমকে উঠে পড়ল. In a flash, নিমেষের মধ্যে. Slumber, ঘুম. Quivering, তিত্তির করে কাঁপা. Piteously, করুণভাবে. Entreated, অনুরোধ করেছিল. Spare, রেহাই দেওয়া. Repay, শোধ করা. Amused, আমোদিত হয়েছিল. Vain, ব্যর্থ. Sheer, নিছক. Curiosity, কৌতূহল. Savior, মুক্তিদাতা. Gnawed, ক্রমাগত চিবিয়ে ফেলেছিল. Disbelieved, অবিশ্বাস করেছিল. 10. Use the following hints and write a story. Add a suitable title and a moral. Points. A salt dealer had a donkey, donkey, traveled to various places. The donkey used to carry heavy bags of salt. One day, while crossing a stream, the donkey fell into the water. Some salt got washed away. Weight lightened. Donkey thought this was a good idea to lighten the load. Repeated it. Salt dealer understood the trick. Next time loaded the donkey with cotton. Donkey fell into the water. Load became heavier. The salt dealer and his donkey. Mahesh was a salt dealer. He had to travel to various places for his trade. On his journeys, the donkey was the beast of burden. It carried the heavy sacks of salt. Often it was overburdened and hence suffered much. It often prayed to God to relieve him from this drudgery. Para. One day Mahesh was on his way to a distant village. As usual, his donkey was carrying heavy sacks of salt and was overburdened. On their way, they saw a small stream that they had to cross. While they were crossing the stream, the donkey, along with its load, accidentally fell into the water. Consequently, a considerable amount of the salt dissolved, dissolved, into the water, and the weight was reduced by a great amount. The donkey was relieved. Quote, I think I might have found out a way to lighten my load, unquote, comma, he said. Few days later, again on the journey to the same village, the donkey fell into the same stream. But this time he did so intentionally. Naturally, the weight was lightened. The donkey was much delighted. It repeated this trick whenever it found a water body in its path. Mahesh soon saw through the trick that the donkey was playing. He thought of teaching the donkey a lesson. On the following day, Mahesh loaded the donkey with bags full of cotton. When it came across a stream, it intentionally fell into the stream while crossing it. But this time the cotton in the bag soaked up all the water, and as a result the load became heavier. The donkey on its return to the bank realized that its trick had backfired. Moral: tricks are not always beneficial. Page 476, word notes. Beast of burden, ভারবাহী পশু, overburdened, অতিমাত্রায় ভারাক্রান্ত হয়েছিল। ড্রাজেরি, নিরস, বিরক্তিকর, শ্রমসাধ্য কাজ। স্ট্রিম, জলধারা। accidentally, ঘটনাচক্রে। consequence, পরিণাম। considerable amount, যথেষ্ট পরিমাণে। great amount, অনেকাংশে। intentionally, ইচ্ছাকৃতভাবে। struck, খেয়াল হলো। see through, বুঝতে পারা। backfired, উল্টো ফল হলো। beneficial, সুফলদায়ক। 11. Develop the following outline into a short story in about 150 to 200 words. Add a title to the story. Annual Exam 2015. Points. A rich old lady becomes blind. Calls doctor. Doctor asks for huge fee. Lady agrees to pay if cured. Nothing if not cured. Doctor comes daily, admires lady's furniture, removing a piece every day. Finally, lady cured, refuses to pay doctor. Doctor goes to court. Lady claims she is not fully cured, cannot see furniture in her house. Judge understands, gives verdict in her favor. WBTA set 11. The old woman and the physician. PHYSICIAN. There was an old woman. With her growing age, she started to lose her eyesight. She was on the verge of becoming blind. She called a physician and asked him if he could cure her. The physician answered in the affirmative but demanded a huge fee. The lady agreed, but on the condition that she would not pay anything unless she was totally cured. The doctor agreed. He came daily and tended the lady. Para. The doctor was a greedy man. He started to admire the furniture of the lady. He removed a piece every day and ultimately ended up in stealing a number of pieces of furniture from the house. When the treatment was complete, the lady regained her vision. The doctor now demanded the promised payment. But the lady, after regaining her sight, saw that there was no furniture in her house. She understood that the doctor had been stealing from her house. So she denied the payment to the doctor. The doctor was furious. He went to court and lodged a complaint against the lady. Para. In the court, the lady was asked why she refused to pay the doctor and promised the promised sum. SUM. The lady then argued, ARGUED, quote, I did promise, but I said I would not give anything if I don't get back my eyesight. Stop. The doctor declares that I am cured, but I can't see the valuable furniture in my house. Stop. How can I be cured, if I can't see my valuables? Question mark, unquote. The judge, who was a prudent man, understood the whole thing. He gave a verdict in favor of the lady and strongly reprimanded the doctor. Moral: tit, T-I-T, for tat, T-A-T. Word notes: physician, doctor. Affirmative, itibachak. Prudent, জ্ঞানী. Reprimanded, boka. 12. Write a story using the following points and give a suitable title and a moral. Points: a hungry fox, wandering in the forest, searching for food, found nothing, headed for the locality, entered a vineyard, saw a vine laden with ripe grapes, jumped several times but could not reach, left the place saying, quote, grapes are sour, S-O-U-R, unquote. The fox and the sour grapes. One day a fox was walking through the jungle when he felt hungry. He wandered for a long time in search of food but found nothing edible, E-D-I-B-L-E. He was very much disheartened. At last he decided to move towards the village not far from the jungle. Quote, Alas! Exclamation. Isn't it sad that one cannot find anything to eat in the jungle? Question mark, unquote, he thought. Quote, Better walk to the village. There I can at least find something to eat. Stop, unquote. Para. After walking for some distance, the fox reached a vineyard. Quote, I might have some grapes to satisfy myself, unquote, he thought. He then entered the vineyard. The vines were laden with bunches of ripe grapes. The rich purple color made them all the more tempting. The fox eyed the bunches around him greedily. Quote, These grapes are so good to look at, ... They must taste good too, ... I must have them, comma, unquote, said the fox. With these words he approached a vine laden with bunches of grapes. The fox jumped up to reach the hanging grapes, but they were too high for him to reach. He jumped up again and again. For a long time he went on jumping up and trying to reach the grapes, but to his utter, U-T-T-E-R, frustration, he could not grab a single grape. Para. After trying for some time, he felt exhausted. E-X-H-A-U-S-T-E-D. Ultimately, he gave up all hopes of getting a bunch of grapes to eat. Quote, These grapes are only good to look at, unquote. He said in disgust. Quote, One cannot eat them. They are sour, unquote. With these words, he walked away. Moral: unattainable is always loathsome, L-O-A-T-H-S-O-M-E. Word notes: wondered, ঘোরাঘুরি করছিল, edible, খাওয়ার যোগ্য. Vineyard, আঙুর ক্ষেত, laden, বোঝাই, tempting, লোভনীয়, eyed at, তাকিয়ে থাকা, greedily, লোভাতুরভাবে, approached, এগিয়ে গেল, utter, চূড়ান্ত, frustration, ব্যর্থতাজনিত বিরক্তি, grab, নাগাল পাওয়া, exhausted, ক্লান্ত হয়ে পড়ল, sour, talk, despise, অবজ্ঞা বা ঘৃণা করা. 13. Read the following points and write a story. Add a title and a moral. Points. A thief hired a room in a tavern to steal something from there. Could not find anything. After some days saw the innkeeper wearing a new coat. Plans of stealing it. Sat with him to chat. While chatting, yawned, Y-A-W-N-E-D, and cooked up a story about himself turning into a wolf. Innkeeper was afraid, left the coat behind and ran away. The thief took it and went away. The thief and the innkeeper, I-N-N-K-E-E-P-E-R. Once a thief hired a room in a tavern, T-A-V-E-R-N. He thought he could stay there and steal something and get some money by selling the stolen items. Page 477. He stayed there for quite a few days but could not find anything. One day he was wondering whether to leave the inn worth stealing when he saw the innkeeper dressed up in a new and handsome coat. At last he came up with an idea. He went to strike up a conversation with the innkeeper. As they were chatting, the thief suddenly yawned terribly and at the same time howled like a wolf. The innkeeper was startled. Quote, "Why did you howl so fearfully?" Unquote, he asked. Quote, "I will tell you," unquote, comma, said the thief, comma, quote, "but first will you please hold my clothes, comma, or I shall tear them to pieces," stop, unquote. The innkeeper was more surprised and asked the reason. The thief then replied, comma, quote, "I don't know, sir, how I got this happened, but whenever I yawn like this, after the third time, I actually turn into a wolf and attack men," stop, unquote. Saying so, he yawned and howled like a wolf for the second time. The innkeeper, believing the thief was alarmed, he got up from the seat and attempted to run away. The thief held him by his coat and entreated him to stop. Quote, "Please hold my clothes or I shall tear them to pieces in my fury when I turn into a wolf," comma, unquote, he said. At that moment he yawned for the third time and howled terribly. The innkeeper, frightened for his life, struggled out of his new coat and, learning it in the thief's hand, ran into the inn for safety. The thief laughed and went away with the coat and did not return to the inn ever again. Note: every tale is not to be believed. Word notes: tavern, Shoraikhana, innkeeper, Shoraikhanaর মালিক, handsome, চমৎকার, strike up, শুরু করা, conversation, কথোপকথন, yawned, হাই তুলেছিল, howled, নেকড়ের মতো ডেকেছিল, startled, ভয়ে চমকে উঠেছিল, punishment, শাস্তি, alarmed, আশঙ্কিত হয়ে গিয়েছিল, attempted, চেষ্টা করেছিল, entreated, স্বনির্বন্ধ অনুরোধ করেছিল, fury, ক্রোধোন্মত্ততা। 14. Using the given outline, develop a story. Add a moral and a title. Points. A small boy once stole a pen and took it to his mother. She did not scold him. He again stole a book. His mother was indifferent. He continued like this. Gradually became a thief. One day was caught in the act. Was taken for public execution. Mother crying. The thief wished to tell his mother something in her ear. Bit off her ear. When rebuked, he replied that if his mother punished him when he first stole, he would not have died a disgraceful death. The thief and his mother. Once there was a small boy who lived with his mother. He was rather a naughty, naughty kid. One day he stole a pen from his classmate and took it home to his mother. His mother saw the pen but did not scold him for stealing. A few days later he again stole a book from another of his classmates and took it home. This time too his mother did not take any action to rectify her son. The boy developed a habit of stealing. One day he was caught stealing money from a classmate. At this point his mother was summoned and told about her son's bad habit. She remained indifferent to the complaint and as a result the boy was expelled from school. Naturally, the boy grew up to be a notorious thief. He cleverly avoided getting caught. But one day this thief too was caught red-handed. He was produced in front of the judge, who ordered him to be executed publicly. On the day of the execution, he was led to the execution ground. His mother followed him along with the crowd that was gathering to witness a thief being punished. She beat her breast and wailed in grief. On reaching the execution ground, the executor asked the thief whether he had any last wish. To that the thief said, quote, "I wish to say something to my mother, ... but I want to whisper it in her ears, ... unquote. The mother, on hearing this, came close to her son. The thief leaned forward, but when he brought his lips to his mother's ear, he seized it with his teeth and bit it off. His mother, screaming in pain, upbraided him for being an unnatural human being. It was then that the thief replied, quote, "Mother, if you had rebuked and punished me when I stole for the first time, then I should not have grown to be a thief and shouldn't have led myself to such a disgraceful death." Unquote. Moral: spare the rod and spoil the child. Word notes: scold, তিরস্কার করা; encouraged, উৎসাহিত করেছিল; rectify, সংশোধন করা; expelled, বহিষ্কার করেছিল; summoned, ডেকে পাঠিয়েছিল; indifferent, নিষ্পৃহ; complaint, অভিযোগ; notorious, কুখ্যাত; caught red-handed, হাতে নাতে ধরা পড়ত; হাতে নাতে ধরা পড়ল; produced, এক্ষেত্রে পেশ করল; executed, প্রাণদণ্ডে দণ্ডিত; wailed, wailed, বিলাপ করেছিল; executor, এক্ষেত্রে দণ্ড কার্যকর করে যে; leaned, ঝুঁকল; seized, চেপে ধরল; upbraided, তিরস্কার করল; disgraceful, অসম্মানজনক. 15. Write a story using the following hints and add a title and a moral. Points. A shepherd boy took his sheep in a lonely field near the forest for grazing. He was bored, devised a plan for entertainment, rushed to the village shouting, quote, "Wolf has attacked the sheep," unquote. Villagers rushed to his help. They were fooled. The boy was amused. Repeated this trick for quite a few times. One day Wolf attacked the flock. In reality, boy cried out for help. No one came, thinking there's to be another lie. All sheep were killed. Boy learnt a lesson. The shepherd, shepherd, who lied, lid. Once there lived a young shepherd. He took them to a pasture outside the village and near a dense jungle. All day the boy kept an eye on the flock of sheep. He had no one to talk to during these hours, and it was rather boring for him. One day when he was watching over the sheep, a mischievous thought for a little bit of entertainment occurred to him. He rushed to the village shouting, "Wolf!" "Wolf!" unquote. The villagers heard his cry and rushed to him, armed with sticks, but they did not see any wolf. The sheep were grazing, page 478, undisturbed. The crowd then asked the boy where the wolf was. He replied, quote, "I have had a bad dream that a wolf attacked my sheep." Unquote. Para. The villagers, angry at their wasted time, left the place. Again, after a few days, the boy repeated the same incident, and this time when he was asked where the wolf was, He lied that he had seen a tail of a wolf in a distant bush. He went on repeating this joke for quite a few times and every time gave a new excuse when he was asked where the wolf was. Para. One day a wolf really did attack the flock. The shepherd then cried out for help. He shouted, "Wolf, wolf," still louder than before. But this time the villagers, who had been befooled quite a few times before, thought the boy was again joking with them. So this time nobody went to his help. The wolf eventually made a good meal off the boy's flock. The boy then learnt how bad it was to tell a lie. It might boomerang, boomerang, at any point of time. Moral: trust once lost is lost forever. Word notes: shepherd, meshpalok, tended, দেখাশোনা করত, pasture, pasture, পশু চারণ ক্ষেত্র, captain eye, নজর রেখেছিল, mischievous, বদমাশ, entertainment, চিত্ত বিনোদন, grazing, ঘাস খাওয়া, excuse, মিথ্যে অজুহাত, eventually, শেষ পর্যন্ত. Read the following points and develop a story. Add a title and a moral. Points: a stag on a hot day reached a pool. While drinking, saw his own reflection, admired his horns, but was unhappy with his legs. While contemplating, a lion reached the pool, prepared to attack the stag. The stag noticed the danger at the last moment, started running and managed a safe distance from the lion, entered the woods. Horns got caught in the hanging vines. The lion caught up and attacked him. The stag at the pool. Once a stag was wandering in the woods. He came to a pool to have a drink. As he was drinking water, his reflection in the crystal, crystal-clear water caught his attention. He was captivated by his own image. His eyes were fixed on his beautiful horns, and he admired their size and formation. Then his eyes fell on his slender legs. The image of his thin and stick-like legs made him angry. Quote, "Isn't it unfair to have such beautiful horns but such thin legs?" ? Unquote. He thought. While he was thus lost in thought, he did not notice a lion had reached the pool and was preparing to spring on him. Suddenly he noticed the reflection of the crouching lion in the water. Pivoting, pivoting, the stag sped away with a burst of speed. As long as the plain was smooth and open, the stag managed to keep himself easily at a safe distance from the lion. But as he entered the dense woods, his horns got entangled in the hanging vines, and he was brought to a near halt. He kept struggling to free his horns, but in vain. Soon the lion caught up and found the stag. As the lion approached towards him, he realized his imminent end and reproached himself, quote, "Woe, W-O-E, is me, ! I have deceived myself, ! I despise these legs which would have saved me, and I was proud of these antlers, antlers, which have brought about my destruction." Moral: appearance may always be deceptive. ওয়ার্ড নোটস স্ট্যাগ পুরুষরিন, ক্রিস্টাল ক্লিয়ার কাঁচের মতো স্বচ্ছ, ক্যাপটিভেটেড মোহিত, স্ল্যান্ডার চিপচিপে পাতলা, পিভটিং ঘুরে গিয়ে, এন্ট্যাঙ্গল জড়িয়ে গিয়েছিল, ভাইন্স লতানে গাছ, ইমিনেন্ট সন্নিকট, রিপ্রোচড তিরস্কার করেছিল, वो ইজ মি হাই কপাল, ডিসপাইজড তুচ্ছতাচ্ছিল্য করেছিল, অ্যান্টলার শিং, আন্ডাররেটেড যথার্থ মূল্য না দেওয়া। নেক্সট 17